Really nice to be asked to do this piece to camera. I'm at home, I'm in my office, this is where I feel comfortable. I do a lot of my day-to-day job from here when I'm not around the shops. And as I said, it's really nice to be asked to do this. A reflection on the last 12 months angling for me. It's been quite difficult for everyone with COVID, fishing before and fishing after lockdown restrictions. But the last 12 months for me is a period in my angling that I'm very happy with. I've achieved some great things both home and abroad. Before lockdown, I set off early, Mid-Kent Fisheries, Swan Lake, set out to catch one common in there known as the One, caught it in March, very early on. Then I moved on to my syndicate where I became a bailiff, the Chilston Stour Lake. It was very hard during restrictions, no one could fish, so I abided by that, worked from home, spent some well-deserved time with the family. Once all restrictions was eased, I really got to grips with my new syndicate. Got my head in there from the word go. The very first trip down, some nice fish, 6 fish to 33 pound, so I knew what I was doing was working. Fortunate for me, I caught my main target, a fish known as the Black Mirror, over 40 pounds, and it earned me pride of place on the front cover of Total Carp, which I feel very proud to have achieved. But when you look at the last 12 months, the standout capture for me has to be where dreams became reality. And that was on one of the Great Escape films. We headed off to Croatia, long drive, but with long drives, you've got expectations, you've got the banter of 3 mates, myself, Dave and Jay.
Coming down the hard shoulder. Jesus Christ. Absolute English fool.
That's the way we do it.
And it wasn't just a case where I could break a PB, the other 2 lads could as well. Jay had some very big fish on Euro Aqua, David had the 88 pounder from Zumba, but this place we was going to, Zajarki, really would be the Lake of Dreams. And for me, dreams really did become reality. I was fortunate enough to land a Zajarki monster, and I'm going to give you a little recapture now of that capture. I get asked a lot at fishing shows, asked a lot on social media. People really liked my reaction. The reaction was real, straight from my heart. When I go into the story in a little bit of detail, you'll see why all the real raw emotion came out, and the story behind it really does encapsulate everyone, and it brings goosebumps to my body talking about it now. Zajarki was going to be one of those places where you really could achieve something special. There was rumours of fish in excess of 100 pound. As I touched on, it would break anyone's PB, any of the lads that were going there for us for England. And it was quite nice because we was there on an all UK exclusive, all English anglers on the lake. Thomas Duncan Dunlop, Colin, a friend of his, they was there the week before. So we actually had a little insight into the venue. During travel, we was liaising with Tom on WhatsApp, sending us pictures of monsters, big commons that he had caught, and it really did whet the appetite. When we arrived at Croatia, we was very lucky. We managed to have a quick walk around the lake, see what had happened the week previous with Thomas Duncan Dunlop, Colin and the other people that was on there. So we got a bit of an insight where we wanted to be because we had no luxuries. We was going into a draw with all the other lads. We wasn't going to get pole position, any of the VIP swims. We had the choice of a swim, but it was all going to be based on the dreaded draw. For me, I'm really not a strong caster. All the lakes that I fish locally, they're really intimate ponds, fishing under your rod tips, nice and comfortable, and I've never really had to push the boundaries of fishing anywhere over 25 wraps. For me with the Orbit, there's 3 breaking strains, one's very thin diameter, you haven't got to have any knots going through the eyes, no leaders if you really want to fish it straight through for maximum distance. For me, I chose to use the 10 to 35 pound. I'm really not a strong caster. As I said, I'm used to flicking it under trees, down into lily pads, really intimate fishing. Solid bags in the edge, that's how I like to fish. So I was going outside my comfort zone. I know Dave can put a lead long and Jay can fish in excess of 45 wraps. So I was going to have to keep up with those 2. So I thought to help me and aid me in my angling, to try and hit distances that I've not fished before, I put on the thinnest diameter Orbit. And to be fair, I was fishing at 30 wraps from the word go and it was effortless. A lot of practice can come into long range casting. If you're used to fishing at extreme range and accurately, I want to touch on that. You can fish at extreme range, but if you're not accurate, you're not going to fish effectively. So for me, I found a distance that was in my comfort zone where I wanted to fish accurately, but it would also be efficient and effective the whole duration of my stay. I didn't want to go out my comfort zone where I'm able to spod with a thin braided main line, transmit, getting the spoms out there, but not actually being able to get rigs out where the bait's positioned. So I chose to use the 10 to 35. Everything was ready. I couldn't wait to get there. We had a little bit of insight because we got there the night before, had a walk around the lake, wake up, fresh as a daisy, 3-4 hours sleep, it's draw time. Never been great on draws. Usually you'll see I do the challenges, come last, that's me, get the chosen swim, not great at them, but this would have been a ball draw, 14, 15 English anglers going into swims round Zajarki. There were some key areas on Zajarki that would hold fish all the time. We got the knowledge straight away that if you can fish long, you're in the middle expanse of the body of the lake, you will get bites in excess of 130, 140, 150 for the extreme chucks. You will get bites. Fishing accurately and effectively, you'll get big hits of fish. Failing that, you want it to be in and around the island where 25 to 30 wraps all week, you'll get good head of fish, but a good stamper fish. The islands there's a couple of swims, the VIP, they do lots of big fish every week in, week out. Draw time. Dave pulled out, not too great. Jay pulled out, even worse. I pulled out, second to last. Could it really get any worse? Come third in the challenge and second to last on the draw. I knew I wasn't going to get a great swim, but I needed to be in and around the boys for filming. Dave got himself quite a good swim. He was 3 or 4 swims up from the island swims that did lots of big fish. He got peg 9. Jay, I believe off memory, he came out 3 or 4 after Dave, but got the swim situated to the right of Dave, peg 10, another good swim. 2 or 3 swims up from the island, which commanded a great bit of water. And where Jay can cast 44 wraps out there if he needed to, he could be in the zone where he'd get some takes. Max Cottish, Sean Kelly, some very capable anglers. Dave Moore was situated down to their right. As I said, I didn't get a great draw, so you're already thinking, great, I'm not the strongest caster, I'm not going to get a great swim, but you have to remain positive on these trips. You have a week to make this happen. I went left of Dave, between peg 8 and peg 9, down on the slope. It's basically me and Dave was in a double. I fished the left of Dave, and what I did, I found the zone where I could fish comfortably and effective for the duration of my stay. I didn't want to go overgun it, and then I'd have to come back for the week. I wanted to find an area and keep it there and get 3 rods on an area, baited tight, because they love baiting Zajarki. They're bait fish, they come in shoals, they smash you up, then you're going to get multiple takes. That was the rhythm and the sort of approach that the other guys that we knew had fished it had done well. Consecutively through the weeks they'd been there, they caught fish, and the weeks just got better and better as the week went on. The more bait going in, the more bites, the more fish turning up, inspecting the areas, they got more bites. From the word go, Dave as Dave is, getting bites straight away. Levy was into him straight away, 30s and 40s. So it's great to go to a new venue, get a 40 pounder. Jay got into fish straight away. Sat there for the first day thinking, oh, come on, am I doing this right? And I'm talking, me and Dave probably put out between the 6 rods, 25, 30 kilo for the first night, knowing that the big beds of bait would get the fish. Next morning, first fish comes in, 36 pound, I'm off the mark. Really, really pleased. It's always nice to go to a new venue and get your first bite. So I was ecstatic, you know. Fishing effectively at 30 wraps, the bites just kept coming. 2 days in, I amassed something 12, 13, 14 fish, but I wasn't breaking the 40 pound barrier. I could see a pattern starting that the bites were coming in and around the island in the day, the fish felt comfortable down there tight up against the snags of the island, then they'd move up the body of the lake into the open expanse of water where I was, and I didn't have anyone to the left of me, so it really helped me. 48 hours in, the bites were thick and fast, coming constant, all of us getting bites, as was everyone around the lake. Then everyone kept saying, don't change anything, keep fishing long, keep fishing on the bait. But 2 nights happened and there was a pattern of big fish showing. 15, 16 wraps out, very short to where anyone advised anybody to fish. They do say you fish the main body of the lake, you will get bites. But in your angling, you can only sit on your hands for so long. You've got to adapt in angling, and I feel I adapt in England on short sessions very well. If I'm seeing fish showing, I'm moving to them showing fish. Things on a barrow, I'm moving. These fish started to show short, and in the night, one of the young camera lads, Max, he come down to the bivvy and said, did you hear that one? That was a good one. And I said, mate, they've been there all night. I'm going to investigate that in the morning. So I decided to investigate this new area, 15 minutes with a marker rod. The determined and showed me exactly what it was, because you can't use bait boats, you can't have any sort of echo sounders, going out in dinghies, finding topography of the lake bed, plateaus, bars. You have to do it all via the marker rod, which was really nice on one of these trips. You're doing everything, you're finding all your features by the responsive braid, through your spotter marker rod, finding all the features yourself without using technology, electrical technology. And I found a plateau that really did come up, and no one mentioned it to me when we was walking around any of the lakes, speaking to the people the previous week, because I think it's an area that probably gets missed. Everyone goes fishing out long, fishing to the main body of the lake. This plateau was so pronounced, it came up 4 foot, really soft silt all around it, and then really hard gravel. That was where they were showing, that was where the fish were confident. And it wasn't just one fish that gave the area away. After I reckon I didn't act on it for 12 hours. I did say to the camera lads, I'm gonna bait it and not fish it. So I explored it with a marker rod, popped the marker rod up and put 5 kilo of link boilies, a big spread around the marker rod. What I wanted to do, I wanted the fish to come in, be confident. Where I was fishing out long in a tight, compact area with crumb, pellet, tigers, boilie, the fish were coming in and there was like a buffet sort of area, little bits and pieces keeping the fish there. But on this one rod, I wanted the fish to come in and graze, picking up bait one by one, and then slowly come across my slip D rotator rig. And my first takeoff there was 38 pounds, so it matched the biggest fish of the week that I had up till that point. And I thought, you know what, there's a pattern here, I'm gonna start getting some bites, be confident. Gonna have 4 nights with 1 rod on this new short area, 2 rods out long. So I hedged both bets, I was covered out long and I was also covered short. And then we had a really nice social barbecue with the boys. Everyone come around to the swim, all the lads associated with RidgeMonkey, Thomas, Sean, Max Cottis, and we was all talking about tactics, what we're doing, everyone's doing. A couple of the other people came up and they said, oh, I'm surprised you've moved the rod in short. And some of the lads were sort of putting a bit of doubt in my head, because it does put doubt in your head when you're fishing to an area that you found and no one else has really done it, but then you've got to override that with your own confidence and your own beliefs. And that's what I did. I was confident in the rig presentation, I was confident in the spot, and I was confident in the bait presentation and application that I'd applied to this plateau. And I knew that at some point during the duration of the next 3 or 4 nights, a big fish would visit this area, because I'd heard them in the night. You know what it's like, you're lying there, just going off to sleep, boom, you're hearing them, big fish show, rolling, you're thinking, they're near my spot, I've got to investigate this. And that's what I did. I found a new spot and the magic take happened. And there's a really good story behind this, because I hadn't had a 40 pounder till this point. Dave and the camera lads said, Dan, please don't wake us up for any more small ones. And that's not being blasé or us being, we're not respectful to smaller fish, because we are. We love all creatures. I caught some nice grass carp and we respect everything that swims. But when you're getting multiple takes, camera lads running down in the rain, brollies open, trying to keep the equipment dry, you don't want to keep waking everyone up for lots of smaller fish. Real dogged fight. Didn't actually fight like a very big fish. It felt like it was holding the bottom, but Zajarki, the swim we had, there was lots of boulders and obstacles that you had to overcome to get the fish close in. So that's where the orbit as well really came into touch, because you've got the low diameter for casting out long, but on the 10 pound to 35, it really gave me the real fixed section. I think it's 0.57 diameter, so it's really strong, really robust, right under the tip to defeat the obstacles. You know if you're going to have any sort of grating, you're going to get your prize in. And it really was trying to find, I could feel the line grating, I could feel it trying to do up the left where the snags was in front of the swim, but I got it in the net. Flicked the head torch on, had a look, thought, oh, it might be a 40 pounder. So it was quite a good fish. When I woke up, Dave said, I might have a 40 pounder, mate. And he said, if it ain't, just slip it back. And I said, I'll have a little look at it. Went and woke 2 of the camera lads up, and Paul, the owner, said, I've got one, it might be a 40. Do you want me to keep it or slip it back? Paul said, Dan, if it's a 40, it's your biggest fish of the trip so far, so just keep it. With that, Dave shouted me, one of my other rods has signalled to take. So I've gone down, playing a fish from the middle rod, out long, and real scrappy fight. Fish came in straight away. Looked at it and I thought, oh, that might be another half decent fish. That might be a 40 pounder. So we weighed the second bite, which was the one out long, and it was 40 pound on the nose, and it was my first Zajarki 40. And then all the lads are saying, well, you still got that one down there, mate. And as we've gone down there, I looked at it and thought, if that was £40, this one actually might be a little bit bigger. This might be 42, 43. Pulled the net cord open, had a look and went, that might be £50, mate. You might have had your best fish of the week. So one that I thought I was going to slip back went from a 40 to a 50. Dave's come down, head torch on in his pink Crocs. That's a good fish, mate. So we've transferred it into the waist sling, lifted it from the sling into the cradle, pulled it open, detached the rig, and they've said, Dan, this could be a very good fish. So I'm sitting there thinking, 5 minutes ago, I nearly slipped this one back thinking it might not be a 40 pounder. I've had a 40, I'm overwhelmed. This has now gone from 40 to 50. So let's get it on the scales and have a look what it is. Pull it onto the scales and it's just bounced straight round past 70 pounds. And my whole body just went to pot. I went to jelly. I thought, it's gone from 40 to 50 to 60 to now a 70 and it's settled on 78.6. And the emotion that ran through my body at this point was the sheer elation. I'd been and embraced Dave's captures, Jay's captures on previous great escapes. I'd had a 66 at Bay and Xenia, but from the thought of I could have potentially slipped back my biggest fish ever to the raw emotion of seeing it at 78 pounds, tears, overwhelmed, the joy, the goosebumps, and having that my very close mates being there and being part of that capture was something that was very special, something that I'll remember forever. I've kept the rig for sentimental, I've got some really nice pictures, it's on YouTube, I can relay it. But at a lot of the shows and when I'm around the shops, I get lots of customers come up to me, shake my hand, they give me the elbow now because of the COVID restrictions and just say that capture just embraces carp fishing, is what carp fishing's all about. And it made me so emotional and it turned dreams to reality, and it really made me think that all the hard work, the effort that I've put into my own fishing in the UK and abroad, I can do this. I can compete with these other anglers fishing at range. I can do my own thing in my own angling, not listen to everybody all the time. Be confident in my approach, be confident in my ability, be confident in my rigs, be confident in my casting, be confident in my bait application, my approach, and it will work. And it was just a moment of sheer elation. I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it, but it was just a moment that I think all us carp anglers can relate to. You go fishing for enjoyment, you go fishing for release, you go fishing for time away, and just trying to reflect and enjoy carp fishing as a sport, a hobby, a passion. And carp fishing is part of me in my day-to-day sales, but to have and be part of this capture was mine, with my friends there, and you guys, everyone could see it on film, and just the emotion that was touched on it was my greatest moment in my fishing, not just in the last 12 months, but probably my life.